Hey everyone, it's Lulasai. I am here with a review for Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. We're going to make this a little bit of a quick and snappy video just because this is actually take 2 because I accidentally said a spoiler, a pretty big one, in my previous attempt. And even though these movies are very old, I do just want to go spoiler free. I just feel like it. That's just how I want to do things. So yeah. This is 1983 film directed by, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, Richard Marquand. And yeah, little known fact, or maybe well known fact, I don't know. All 3 original trilogy Star Wars movies are directed by 3 different people. So that's, yeah, kind of interesting. And that's why there is some continuity, questionable things going on with 2 certain characters, which again we're not going to spoil. So yeah, but so Return of the Jedi. This is the worst of the original trilogy, or weakest is a better word, but it still has the magic. It still has the magic of the previous films, and I'm someone who doesn't want to. I don't feel like repeating myself a lot, especially in these series. Like for example, James Bond has like 26 movies in that series or more. So I don't want to say the same things over and over again in every single video, like James Bond is a charming guy. I don't want to say that 26 times, right, or more. So same thing here, we're going to just focus on the unique stuff. So just because I'm not mentioning something that you may particularly like, it's most likely because I've already praised that exact element in one of the previous 2 films. So, but let's do the quick plot synopsis. Again, I do want to make this video a little bit quicker. I'm getting pretty tired right now. So the plot is that Luke is now basically like completed his training. He has come into his own, and he is arriving at Jabba the Hutt's palace on Tatooine in order to rescue Han. Eventually, everyone, all our heroes do end up reuniting with the rebellion, and Luke has a detour to do first, which is to fulfill his promise to Master Yoda and return to Dagobah, and then everyone else, Han, Leia, Chewie, the droids, they meet up with the rebellion, who are preparing to attack the Death Star 2, because yes, the Empire was stupid enough to create a second Death Star. This one is bigger than the first one, and it's also more exposed because it's not even completed yet. But there is a shield generator which is protecting it, so the rebels have to send a squad down to the surface of the forest moon of Endor in order to deactivate the shield generator, which will allow the rebel fleet to actually take out the superweapon. So, yeah, and also of course Luke does have to complete his quest by facing off with Darth Vader one last time. Plus, he also has to face off with the Emperor himself, who is far more powerful than Luke is at this point. So yeah, unique positives. Luke, he really is the standout in this movie, okay? His relationship with Vader, the dynamic with him is fantastic. It's better than it's ever been before. Luke himself is more likable and respectable than ever before. He's not, he was a little bit whiny in A New Hope, and in Empire he's a little bit creepy in hindsight. Because of, the continuity, what happens with that. Well, I don't want to go into spoilers, but yeah, so this is my favorite version of Luke. He's the most respectable, most admirable, most competent, and most powerful version of himself too. Well, I guess he technically gets more powerful as he ages, but I just prefer to forget about the sequel trilogy Luke, if I'm being completely honest. So this, to me, is the definitive version of Luke. Other positives, Boba Fett actually gets to do some action now, which is nice. He's obviously fan favorite character, underdog when he came out, but now is one of the most iconic Star Wars characters. The Emperor, I'm not going to say he's superior to Darth Vader as a villain, but well, technically his abilities are, but you know what I mean, like from a writing standpoint. But the Emperor, he really holds his own, and they set him up previously, so it's not like he came out of nowhere. And yeah, he fits, he makes sense, and he's basically a cherry on top. You already have arguably the #1 best villain in cinema history with Darth Vader, why not give you another great one? He may not be quite stealing the show, but, well, I guess he is kind of stealing the show, especially towards the end. But yeah, I've actually met him as well, Ian McDiarmid. Hopefully I pronounced that name right. And yeah, so I've always liked the Emperor, especially because Ian was nice to me in real life. You know, when celebrities are like signing stuff all day long, they can get tired, but even when they're tired, they try to put on a smile for you, and I appreciate that. So shout out Ian McDiarmid for giving me a good experience in Chicago when I met him. Anyways, so yeah, I do like the Emperor. I think he fits. He's established. He's not coming out of left field, and not everything has to be, you know, Vader quality, because it's a bar that can't be met anyway. So really, it's just nice that the Emperor's not taking away from anything, because we've seen that in like Marvel and other stuff where they have a bit of a villain problem. Star Wars typically does not have a villain problem, so that's one of the good things I can say about it. One of the many good things I can say about it. But anyways, I'm rambling now. Other unique positives, the space battle, even though it is technically a rehash of the A New Hope one, it is still one of the best in the series. And also the lightsaber duel at the end is also one of the best in the series. The music and everything, the way it swells, it's just, that final sequence is so perfect. So yeah, a lot to love about this film. Now for the negatives. So, again, take these with a grain of salt. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't really matter that much, but I am trying to be objective right now, and I'm actively comparing it to its predecessors, because I will be ranking these all on a list eventually. So, negative number 1. Even though the pacing and momentum of this film is very good, I would argue that the journey itself is slightly lackluster, just because so Endor is the only new location, and I don't like Endor that much, to be honest. So other than Endor, everything else is a place we've already seen before, or it's just in a ship or in a cockpit, right? So that's a little bit of a letdown for me. One cool thing about like the prequels, for example, and all their flaws, is that you get to so many different cool planets and locations and places to see and visit, right? But yeah, not in Return of the Jedi. This is mostly like a fan service kind of visiting places you've already seen before. Endor, though, the one new location, I don't care for Endor. It's not terrible, I just don't care for it. It's kind of just a generic forest in an otherwise super interesting, vast galaxy. So it just looks too close to home to me. I believe it was shot in California, so that's not my home at all. I do not live in California. But it just looks too close to home, because I do live in a forested woodland area here in Canada. So yeah, it just doesn't seem super sci-fi to me. And also in Endor you have the Ewoks. So the Ewoks, they are an issue because, now there's 2 really good scenes on Endor. Well, there's actually, there's 2. There's 3. There's 3 really good scenes on Endor. There's the one where Vader and Luke meet on the AT-AT. There is the speeder chase, and there's with the scout troopers, and there's also the, my favorite one of these 3 is the, well, the Vader one's pretty good, but this is probably my favorite one, is the Ewok village nighttime scene. It just looks beautiful, really well shot, great character dialogue and moments there too. So I like those 3 scenes. Again, the movie's not bad or anything, it's just, but other than those 3 scenes, the Ewoks are kind of killing the movie, or not killing, they're hurting the movie a little bit. If you compare the Battle of Endor to the Battle of Hoth, again, night and day. Battle of Hoth, you're watching humanity in its desperate time, like, just trying to survive against, you know, overwhelming odds. And it's down to earth, and yeah, kind of visceral actually at times too. Though the way the troopers are kind of like falling over themselves when they're trying to run away and stuff like that. Here though, Battle of Endor, it is very literally cute fuzzballs that are accidentally hitting themselves in the face with rocks. So it's not as grounded, it's not as meaningful. The stakes aren't really there. Well, I mean, some Ewoks do get killed. I'll give them credit for that. But yeah, it just doesn't hit the same. So for me, the Ewoks do take away from the maturity a bit. Not that Star Wars is super mature to begin with, but you go from stuff like in A New Hope, you have the Lars Homestead disaster with like the burnt corpses on the ground, and then like Star Wars occasionally has some metal to it, but this movie does not. This movie is not metal at all. So yeah, it reminds me of like Indiana Jones as well. Indiana Jones, again, you might not think is super mature, but there's some serious stuff in Indiana Jones here and there occasionally, and that's just part of the experience, at least for me. Yeah, I'm not saying I want Star Wars to traumatize me. I'm just saying that I prefer when it's a little bit more serious, just slightly, just slightly. Yeah, and also just the fact there's a second Death Star is incredibly silly and stupid. It's arguably, not arguably actually, I would say it's definitely easier to destroy the Death Star 2 in its current form at least than it was the Death Star 1. So that's pretty dumb. Yeah, and that's basically, I've covered everything that's important to me at least. I'm sure there's more nitpicks and stuff, but that's what's important to me. So I'm going to give Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, an 8 out of 10. I know it's harsh, and if you wanted to go higher with the score, I would not argue with you. I would completely understand that. And you know what? I've seen this movie like 30 times, or like over 30 times. Sometimes I watch it and I feel like it's a 7. Sometimes I watch it and I feel like it's a 9. Sometimes I'm in a really good mood and I feel like it's a 10, right? So it's just depends on how you feel. But me, putting my feelings aside a little bit, I think objectively I'm going to land it at that 8 out of 10, especially when I'm comparing it, when I have in my head where I want to rank all the Star Wars movies, because I've already seen them many times before. So where I want to rank this, it's going to have to get an 8 out of 10. It just makes sense to me. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.